I'm a guy that's 25. Lego Star Wars is my life. I like Ryan Johnson. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back with another video. This is going to be another episode of Your Questions Answered. If you're unfamiliar with the series, Your Questions Answered is a Q&A series that I do here on this channel. So if you want to see one of your questions answered, leave it in the comment section below. Make sure it is Lego Star Wars or Lego Star Wars related, and then check back next week to see if you make the cut. First question this week comes from Joseph Kuzmer. He says, how do you feel about people 3D printing and selling custom Lego? I've seen different alien heads for sale, and I'm curious on your thoughts. So the general idea of just 3D printing something and selling it as custom, I don't inherently have an issue with, so long as it hasn't presented to be genuine Lego. My general objection to knockoffs is when they're presented as genuine Lego. I feel that it is deceptive, especially, you know, when in the title on a listing they put something like Lego compatible, which to the normal person is misleading. You see the word Lego and you assume, oh, we're good to go. But then oftentimes by Lego compatible, you just mean it works with Lego and it is not actually Lego. And that, I think, is super scummy, sketchy, all the terrible words you can use. I am not a fan of that whatsoever. I don't, however, see an issue with someone basically making custom elements that Lego doesn't currently make. Like if you wanted to give yourself a more diverse array of aliens for like any mock you're working on and you have the means to 3D print them, I'd say go ahead. Like, why not do something cool like that? The same way that I'm okay with, you know, custom printing on minifigures to make something that is that Lego doesn't make. I couldn't also be like, oh, don't 3D print things, because I mean, in concept it's basically the same thing. So yeah, like I'm totally fine with that, as long as it's not trying to be presented as genuine Lego. That's where I draw the line. Next question comes from RoboNut03. He says, question, what is a particular Star Wars location you think looks amazing in Lego every time you see it? This is an easy one for me. It has to be Scarif. Seeing Scarif to me is like seeing candy for a baby. Does that? No. You take candy from a baby. I don't know if babies are actually excited to see candy. Anyways, seeing Scarif for me all the time, it instantly just draws my attention. The bright colors, whether it be the sand, the water, the green of the trees, those things just all look so aesthetically pleasing in Lego, and I can't name a Scarif mock that I wasn't interested in looking at in some way. I love the fact that there, with Rogue One, came an entire wave of Scarif mocks, because we saw so many people building different areas of the battle, different custom things, and it was just so refreshing. Like, I mean, I think some people kind of get annoyed whenever there's a wave of people all building the same thing. Scarif was the exception for me. Scarif was a scenario where I was like, please feed me more Scarif mocks. I had no problem seeing Scarif mocks, and that's the reason why I decided to basically spend so much time doing that mock. That was the first large-scale mock that I built, and it was such a fulfilling experience, and even after doing it, I still want to attempt Scarif once more. I think it is the best Star Wars battle thus far, and it's just such an aesthetically pleasing mock when you build it out of Lego. Next question comes from George Joshington. That is quite a name. He says, question, what kind of music do you listen to? I know it isn't Lego or Star Wars related, but I'm just kind of curious about what kind of music people listen to. This is a question I get all the time, and honestly, it's kind of complicated. Very softly you a that. 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 In actuality, rap and R&B are probably the two most common music genres that I listen to. I think right now the two artists I'm most often listening to are Jacquees and Young Thug. And if I'm not listening to them, then I'm listening to probably some old school Houston rap. So that's a little bit of personal information about Rich Boy J. Next question comes from Nico Bricks. He says, if there was one Lego Star Wars set you could bring out of retirement, what would it be? Honestly, I might go with the Super Star Destroyer. I know I've kind of been critical of the set in the past, and I still don't think it's an amazing set, but it's just one of those sets that I didn't get at retail. And as much as I think the set could be improved, namely with the bottom of it, the fact that it's flat, I do still think it is a good looking ship from up above. And I would like to have it for a not ridiculous price that they're asking for in the aftermarket. I have seen some people basically post like parts lists on how to cut down on the cost on it to basically make it to where you're essentially paying retail for the set, but you're not getting the minifigs, you're not getting the box. and you're not getting the instructions. So there was one at this point that I could bring out of retirement, I'd go with that. If we're just ignoring UCS sets and just something that I would want purely for its utility, I don't know, I might go with the Coruscant Police Gunship just because it came with shock troopers. That was what, like a $50 set? I think about how now I spend so much time buying multiples of the AAT set, and I don't really care for the AAT build. However, I'm getting it for the 332nd Trooper. To pay $10 more and get 2 shock troopers in the set, plus that Ahsoka that I'm pretty sure was unique to the set, that's a no-brainer for me. I would be buying so many of those Coruscant Police Gunships right now if they were on shelves for retail. Next question comes from Caleb. He says, question, what's your favorite and least favorite Star Wars planet? And is there a Star Wars planet you really want to build in Lego, but you don't think it would be possible? As for my favorite planet, it's honestly probably going to be Scarif, Coruscant, or Canto Bight. As for my least favorite, it's probably just going to be Mimban. Like, Mimban was just not a visually interesting planet to me at all. And I get that that's kind of the point, right? Like, it's supposed to be this very gritty, I think, World War I style battlefield. But I don't know, it just didn't look interesting to me. Everything just has like a grayscale to it. And it didn't help the fact that most of the Solo movie was too dark to see anyways. Mimban just wasn't a visually interesting battle to me. As for a Star Wars planet I think that I'd really want to build but don't think it would be possible, honestly, Coruscant. And it kind of sucks coming to terms with this. Like, I would love to do some sort of large-scale Coruscant at some point. However, I mean, just the logistics of building a mock like that, especially the speeders, and having so many, basically trying to recreate like the Coruscant air traffic and Lego and suspending that many speeders in the air. I mean, it's certainly possible, I guess, but that seems to probably be the most complex mock that I would try to do large scale. So Coruscant is definitely up there for me to attempt building it at large scale, but the logistics of it don't sound great in my head as I think about it. That would really have to be something that I think about for a while and try to implement in the best way possible, because there's a lot of ways that could go wrong. Next question comes from Francis. He says, how is your video workflow set up? Do you film multiple videos at once? How long does it take you to edit? Do you delete your footage after? This is a few questions. So do I film multiple videos at once? Sometimes, usually not very often. I work a job while trying to do Lego, so I don't just have all the time in the world to just film videos all day. As much as I'd love to, like, I'd love to basically, like, at the beginning of the week, knock out a bunch of videos in one day. But typically my schedule is configured in such a way that, like, I'm either trying to record a video before I go to work or when I get home from work. And if I'm not doing that, I'm streaming, which takes up a pretty large percentage of my day. So, I mean, I could probably manage my time better and record more videos at once, but that's just not something that I'm doing right now. How long does it take me to edit? I mean, as you guys can probably tell, I don't spend a ton of time doing, elaborate editing for my videos. I try to basically just edit out the mistakes, add music to it, and pictures if I have to, and we're pretty much moving on from there. So not very long, like maybe 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how long the video is. Do I delete my footage afterwards? Yes, all the time. Like, I do everything on YouTube pretty much from my laptop, which has a maximum of 512 gigabytes, which means I just don't have a ton of storage to be doing a ton of stuff on my computer, which kind of sucks. But, it is what it is. Honestly, now that I'm saying this, I probably should just update the storage on my computer, because I would love to have more space. That's a side tangent, but pretty much every video I make, I end up deleting. I know it's on YouTube if I ever need it. The quality won't be as good as it was initially, but that's basically the trade-off I have to make to not have to pay a bunch of money to store all my videos. Final question comes from Playmation Shorts. He says, we all know you love The Last Jedi, but I was wondering if there's anything about it that you don't like, and if so, what? Absolutely not. The movie is perfect in every single way. It's a 10 out of 10. I can't think of a single thing that I would change about the movie, a single thing that is wrong about the movie. The Last Jedi is basically flawless. Now, I threw this question here because I know a lot of people would probably love to hear me criticize The Last Jedi for a change. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of things that I don't like about the movie, it has to be the Rose and Finn kiss. And I would like to say I kind of get what they were going for. However, I just feel like it really takes away from, and really the movie as a whole kind of takes away from the Finn and Rey romance dynamic. Because, I mean, it certainly was there in the first movie. And then at the very end of the first movie, Rey kind of gives him the friendship kiss of death. She says, I will see you, my friend. Which, I mean, I guess that kind of solidified Finn in the friend zone. So, I mean, Rian Johnson wasn't necessarily, like, diverging from that path. But I really would have loved to have seen, them go a romantic way with Rey and Finn. I thought their chemistry worked really well in the first film, and we never get that with the main character in Star Wars, right? Like, I mean, technically we got it with Anakin, but that's probably like the worst type of romance we've seen in Star Wars. It would have really been nice and refreshing for me to just watch a Star Wars movie where the main character gets the girl. Like, we think Solo's gonna get the girl in Solo, and then he doesn't. Turns out she's working for freaking Darth Maul. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. Outside of that, I'd say the pacing of the movie could certainly be better. Like, Last Jedi is just such a packed film. So many things happen in that movie. You almost get the impression that, like, someone was like, okay, Ryan, like, this is the only Star Wars material you'll ever be able to write in your life. And this dude is just like, okay, I have so many ideas. How many of these ideas can I get in this movie? It's a super plot-heavy movie. And I think after the huge climax of the Holdo maneuver, everything kind of settling, and then you basically going into another battle, which is the big battle at the end of the film, feels weird, right? Like I mean, it's a long Star Wars movie. I think at the time it was released, it was the longest Star Wars movie. But once you kind of settle from that, in the theater, like watching the film, it feels weird to know that, oh, like there's a whole other climax coming up at the end of this movie. So the movie could probably be trimmed in a few ways to basically make it flow a lot more seamlessly. I think in terms of like the pacing of a movie, The Force Awakens is kind of perfect in that way. Like The Force Awakens, at least to me, seems to have no wasted space. Everything in that movie flows so well, and the emotions that you're having during the film, nothing is kind of unexpected. It feels like you're riding a roller coaster, and everything that happens feels natural. It feels fluid. Like the high points come when they should, the low points come when they should. The movie just works really well in terms of pacing. I cannot say the same thing about The Last Jedi. But that's gonna finish the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to your questions answered. I know a ton of you wanted to jump on this opportunity to hear me criticize The Last Jedi, and will probably jump in the comment section to continue criticizing The Last Jedi. It's nothing I'm not used to at this point, though. But if you want to see yourself in one of these videos, not really yourself, if you want to see your question in one of these videos, leave it in the comment section below. Make sure it is LEGO Star Wars and LEGO Star Wars related, and then check back next week to see if you made the cut. Also, if you like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.